All right, so today on MAGA Crash Out, we're going to talk about employers added $73,000 jobs in July and the fallout of the revised numbers for May and June. And so what we're going to do is let's get some of this information and some of my honest opinion and reaction. All right, and if you like this channel, make sure you are following, make sure you're subscribing. This is Big Zeus on YouTube. And we're going to try to get this channel rocking and rolling like we do over there on TikTok. So let's find out what they're saying about these job numbers.
Breaking news. The new jobs report and the president's tariffs are dragging down U.S. markets at this moment. The July jobs report you see right next to me, this just came out moments ago, and it's weaker than expected. You have just 73,000 jobs added last month. But more concerning, the numbers for the previous 2 months have just been revised down by more than 200,000.
Well, we're not
so this
shocked.
is not encouraging economic information.
Yeah.
And it comes as the president's new tariff plan is impacting more than 60 trading partners, including some that have already cut trade deals or at least frameworks.
Okay.
CBS News and Money Watch correspondent Kelly O'Grady is making sense of all of this.
Yeah, Kelly,
and
make it make
explaining it
sense
to us in very straightforward ways.
Oh, look at all that red.
So Kelly, help us understand this jobs report,
okay,
why its numbers and the revision downward from a previous report is discouraging.
Yeah, make this make sense to us.
So this gives us a sense that the labor market is slowing down significantly, right? I mean, that number coming in less than 100,000, which was where most analysts expected the July jobs report number to come in, was already concerning. But as you mentioned, we had revisions down to May and June as well, to the tune of over 200,000 jobs. And what that tells you is the significant slowdown.
Well, I'm going to stop this right there and say this. How many of you out there are Trump supporters and you watched him cram that big, beautiful bill down our throats and he told us it was based off of these positive numbers? This makes you wonder, doesn't it? It makes you wonder, go, oh, wow, maybe all the other stuff that he was promising might not be true. You know, this is crazy stuff right here.
It's not just a July thing. This has been happening for the past few months. And really what made me nervous was in that June revision, when you look at it all together, it showed that the private sector, right, so not government, everything else, added only 3,000 jobs in June. Wow. That is a big red flag. And the reasons that we are seeing this, part of it is the new immigration policy. The White House or the Economic Council just shared why we're seeing some of these revisions. It's the new immigration policy.
Oh, the mass deportations. Wow. I thought what he was going to do was get rid of those folks and then give MAGA all those jobs. But what it looks like is he got rid of the work and those jobs are disappearing with the work and MAGA isn't getting anything. And you layer that in with inflation, which is going up, the unemployment rate, which is going up. This spells catastrophe in so many words.
Well as reaction to the tariffs. And anecdotally, we have heard from many businesses, and it is now showing up in the data, that they were very much on a wait-and-see approach. There was all of this shifting trade policy. They didn't want to make any huge decisions, lay off people, hire a bunch of people, and so they just paused. And that's reflected in the data. I think what's really going to be interesting is now what does the Fed do with interest rates? Because they have been very concerned about inflation ticking up because of these tariffs. But now you are seeing their other mandate, the job market, show weakness because of it. And I'll just note that the last time we saw 3 months in a row where the labor market added less than the 12-month average, you got a half-point rate cut. That was in September. That was that jumbo cut where the Fed looked at the picture and said, OK, we've got to do something to make sure that economic growth doesn't stall.
So as alarming as all of this data together seems for the moment, it may lead to a Fed rate reduction come September, the next time they have the shot.
Yes, that's right. What I will note, though, is before
he might get his rate cut after all, but at the expense of Americans and getting rid of people who are in this country actually helping America. Oh, this is to me, as far as I'm concerned, we're heading towards a 1929 style depression. One like we've never seen before, ladies and gentlemen. And this one is going to be a lot worse because there won't be any eggs.
We are going to get another jobs report and another inflation report. So there's going to be a lot of data that comes in. And just to sort of, I don't want anyone having a panic attack over their coffee right now.
No, we're panicked.
It's not great numbers, but this isn't, we've been through this before.
The sky isn't falling.
The sky isn't falling. This is not March of 2020.
But for viewers who are watching President Trump announce an August 7th deadline for trade agreements, all the uncertainty we have talked about so much around
just
that.
Going down the drain.
Should people at home just realize that items will be slightly more expensive in the months ahead? Is that part of the new financial reality?
It is very possible. The other thing that I will note, though, is that over the past couple of months, we have had pretty much a baseline 10% tariff on most countries, as well as sector tariffs. Right. We have seen imports coming into the country drop. And so what that the prices drop. And what that tells you is suppliers in these other countries have said, well, we want to make sure that people still buy our stuff in America. So we're going to lower our prices so you don't see as much of an impact on you and me as a consumer. We also know that companies are absorbing a lot of these tariff costs because they want to make sure you and I keep going out.
Yeah, but they can only do that for so long.
The thing is how long are they going to be able to navigate that? So I think you can expect, most economists do, some price increases on goods. It's just a wait and see of how much.
Not sending us into the weekend with too much excitement, but a fact check and a reality check that we desperately need. Kelly O'Grady.
All right. Well, listen, now that you've heard that terrible news about Donald Trump's first, these few months he's been in the office, as you can see, it's all been an illusion. There was never any Liberation Day. And if you call this the golden age, then you must be a sucker for punishment. But this isn't the golden age that I thought he was trying to bring to us. It seems like things are just getting a lot worse. He's not doing anything, and I do mean this sincerely, he's not doing anything better than President Biden was doing, which makes you wonder, maybe Sleepy Joe wasn't that bad of a problem at the end of the day compared to what we got on our hands right now. Who would have thought mass deportations would have led to this? Inflation through the roof, all right, and it's self-inflicted. Now I'm going to move on to my next thing, which is where we actually hear from the suspect himself, and you could just see how this looks, right? This guy, he's heading out of the White House this weekend. He's going somewhere, probably golfing. He knows he's wrecked the country another week, and he's giving a quick press conference. And when he's doing this, the only thing I care about, honestly, is what is he going to say about Jeffrey Epstein, right? That's all we care about. Is he going to release the Epstein files? Or is this just going to be another example of him stringing his base along with more misinformation than disinformation? Well, let's be the judge of that. But looking at how he looks now, it looks like he's happy in a weird way, because the conversation isn't about Epstein right now. It's about the economy. And I think he's happy. And let's see how this goes.
Are you going to go to talk with Putin before your deadline comes? I mean, 10 days while in the...
Well, we'll see what happens. We're going to have some meetings and we'll see what happens.
Mr. President, you said a job report today.
Job report.
Oh, yeah, I think so. And if you look at before the election, the same kind of thing happened. And I think you'll see some very interesting information come out. But you have to have honest reports. And when you look at those numbers, or when you look at just before the election, and then after the election, they corrected it by 800,000 or 900,000 jobs. Yeah.
Why are we talking about the election right now? Everything with this man is always about something that happened to him a couple of days ago, a couple of weeks ago, a few years, actually 10 years, 20 years ago. And it's not really dealing with the reality that we're all dealing with right now. We want to know why the economy is going down the drain, sir. I really don't care about what happened in the election. I really don't.
I would say so.
Korea and the United States.
We have a great relationship.
So many talks, and when do you have it?
Yeah, we have a great relationship with South Korea.
Are you ready? Are you open to negotiate with Brazil? The Brazilian President Lula said he'd like to call you. He requests a conversation. Would you talk to him now?
He can talk to me anytime he wants.
So are you open to tariffs? Are you
He can talk to me anytime he wants.
What is on the table for Brazil?
Well, we'll see what happens, but I love the people of Brazil.
What evidence do you have to What evidence?
I love the people of Brazil.
So why?
You love the people of Brazil, okay, but what does that got to do with the price of rice right now, sir? What we're really trying to get to the bottom of are these Epstein files. And it's just amazing to me that you're in a talkative spirit right now, especially considering what we just found out about the economy. I mean, ladies and gentlemen, he's literally stringing this along.
They don't
Close to
seem to be
Russia.
related to trade,
Because
Mr.
the
President.
people running Brazil did the wrong thing.
What evidence do you have?
It takes 7 years from the time that you learned that people were being stolen from Mar-a-Lago to the time that you picked that you took from Jeffrey Epstein.
Yeah, I don't understand your question.
He does not want to talk.
Being deployed nuclear submarines.
Oh yeah, well,
He did not want to talk Epstein out of all the things that he could go back in the past and talk about. That's the one thing he didn't want to talk about. See, that says it all. Guilty, guilty. He doesn't want to go into any more detail. Oh, Ghislaine Maxwell just got moved to a lower security prison today in Texas. Oh, I don't want to mention that to my supporters and to my base because, that'll implicate me. I get it.
to do that. We just have to be careful. And a threat was made, and we didn't think it was appropriate, so I have to be very careful. So I do that on the basis of safety for our people. A threat was made by a former president of Russia, and we're going to protect our people. I hope so. I hope so. I don't know whether or not that'll happen, but I hope so.
Mr. President, why did you fire the head of the Bureau of Labor Statistics?
Because I think her numbers were wrong. Just like
You
I
think?
thought her numbers were wrong before the election. Days before the election, she came out with these beautiful numbers for Kamala. I guess Biden/Kamala. And she came out with these beautiful numbers trying to get somebody else elected. Then right after the election, I think on the 15th, November 15th, she had an $800,000 or $900,000 massive reduction. Said she made a mistake. That woman's numbers are.
Well, sir, if you thought that her numbers were terrible, right, and you knew it back then when you got into the White House, you should have dealt with that, right? Why string it along and get us to the point where we're at right now, and then all of a sudden say you had a problem with those numbers? No, you didn't. You didn't have a problem with those numbers because those numbers were what you were using to justify all the wrong you were doing. And if you let me think about it, I probably will go as far as to say you probably pressured her to give you those fake numbers. Yeah, she was just a casualty in this little war you got going on to justify passing that disgusting, big, beautiful bill.
Yeah, one of the governors, as you know, of the Federal Reserve has just announced she's resigning. I understand it was over the fact that she disagreed with somebody from her party. She disagreed with Too Late. You know who Too Late is? Yeah. She disagreed with Too Late on the interest rate. So we'll see what happens. But we just found out that I have a open spot on the Federal Reserve Board. I'm very happy about that, John.
What did Medvedev say to you that made you really mad?
Well, you just have to read what he said. He was talking about nuclear. When you talk about nuclear, we have to be prepared, and we're totally prepared.
Mr. President, on the monthly jobs report, going forward, why should anyone trust the numbers?
Well, that's the big thing. You're right. No, you're right. Why should anybody trust numbers? You go back to election.
Here we
election
go.
day. Look what happened 2 or 3 days before with massive, wonderful job numbers, trying to get him elected or her elected, trying to get whoever the hell was running. Because you go back, and they came out with numbers that were very favorable to Kamala, okay? To trying to get him elected, trying to get her elected. And then on the...
It's like, who gives him these ideas and makes up these stories? And no one's giving him this. This is stuff he's creating and engineering all on his own. And what it does is it keeps him and his base basically doing what they're doing, confused and manipulative and actually on the verge of ruining this great country of ours. I've never seen such incompetence and just pure fantasy. This is truly ridiculous, if you ask me.
15th of November or thereabouts, they had an 800,000 or 900,000 overstatement reduction right after the election.
When he moves his hands like that, you know he's lying.
It didn't work because you know who won, John? I won.
But here's the thing. Your supporters have had issues with these numbers.
I've had issues with the numbers for a long time. But today's...
So he's had issues with the numbers for a long time, but today, all of a sudden, he's doing something about it? This story just doesn't make sense.
So well. I
Look at the hands.
The numbers were phony, just like they were before the election. And there were other times. So you know what I did? I fired her.
Right.
And so you know what? I did the right thing.
Wow.
Any government official going forward is presenting data or information you don't like. Should they fear for their job?
I've always had a problem with these numbers. You know, I was thinking about it this morning. Before the numbers that came out, I said, who is the person that does these numbers? And then they gave me stats about before the election. I had a similar problem. I mean, she gave out numbers that were so good for the Democrats. It was like unbelievable. And then right after the election, she corrected those numbers with, I think, almost 900,000 corrections. I think nobody had ever seen anything like it. Well, today she did the same thing with the 253,000, whatever the number was. No. We need people that we can trust. I mean, your question is a very good one. We need people we can trust.
I've seen enough, ladies and gentlemen. Obviously, Donald Trump is happy today to not have to talk about the Epstein files. He would rather, tell us lies and stories about how the numbers that he got from his, Bureau of Labor Statistics commissioner, which, obviously, if he knew they were bad, he should have did something about a long time ago. But he'd rather tell us stories about that to make himself feel better than to actually deal with the huge elephant in the room, which is Jeffrey Epstein and the files. Why all of a sudden now are you telling us that you and him had a falling out and that he was stealing employees? It just doesn't make sense. And why aren't you talking about Ghislaine Maxwell being moved to a low security prison out in Texas? All right, what was the deal? What was the quid pro quo, so to speak? Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's me, Big Zeus. I'm out of here. Again, if you like this video, please be sure to like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time on my next reaction video. Take care.